everybody? It's Goots' Wrestling Pod. I am your host, Ray Goots, and with me, as always, is Andrew Lee, bro. And I don't know if you can see my shirt, Andrew Lee, but
Dusty Rhodes, I can see it. Yeah,
Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, I'm trying.
nice.
So far, I'm succeeding. I'm gonna try to wear a shirt. I'm gonna try to wear. I think I can do this for every pay-per-view in the history of existence, including AEW and TNA. I'm gonna find a shirt of someone on the card, and so far I've been doing it for 5
So
episodes.
far you have. So far you have. Yeah.
All right, so we're talking Starrcade 85. I don't really
Yes.
talk about, usually discuss current, but everything's changing so fast. Let's just, and also there's some stuff I'm involved in the current landscape of wrestling that I don't want to talk about because those will be a whole different podcast. Um, we're actually dipping our toes into wrestling, not you, me. But let's get right into Starrcade 85. I thought this was the best Starrcade by far.
Yes. Starrcade 85. The Gathering of the Juggalos. Yes.
I mean, the
This one.
first hour, and we'll get into it, the first hour is fucking brutal. But once Arn Anderson hits the ring, the rest of the pay-per-view, I think, is fucking great.
I didn't think the first hour was as bad as you said it was, but I do agree that out of the three Starrcades, this one is much better than the other two. It's vastly improved. That you could actually see the influence that WrestleMania is having on Starrcade.
But also, like, I think when people think of Southern 80s wrestling, that last hour and a half is what they think of.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like, it was really good. Well, we'll get into each match, but also, well, we'll get into each match. Let's start at the start of the show.
Okay. First off, it's called Starrcade 85 The Gathering. Why is it called The Gathering? Flair for the goal. I get that, right?
Yes.
I get, what was the second one called?
The $1 Million Challenge.
Yeah, I get that. Why is this one called The Gathering?
Well, they did have two different venues. I don't know. They went back and forth between venues. I don't know if you
Yes, actually, that's a good point.
Maybe it was like we're gathering everyone. Everyone is being gathered because we're in two different areas.
This is actually the first pay-per-view that they're doing it in two locations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you guys know, Starrcade 85, they're actually held the event in two arenas. The Greensboro in North Carolina and then the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. So I get it then. That's why I guess they call it.
I assume,
yeah. They actually get intro graphics that are really cool with the rock music and with the graphics. And I'm like, wow, the production's gone up. And then they go straight to Bob Caudle and Tony Schiavone. But the camera's all shaky. Like the camera guy's all shaky. And
and then we get to the worst part of the show.
Yeah, they're in Atlanta, Georgia. And another question for you. How come Gordon Soley is not doing commentary?
I don't know. They kind of like
Tony Schiavone, and I'm like, I don't know why. What happened?
They were kind of like weaning him off. Also, he was starting to become like a really bad drunk.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. I also think he never really worked for Jim Crockett Promotions. I think he worked more for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
Georgia Championship Wrestling, and in '84, Black Friday went down, where Vince bought the time slot in Georgia Championship Wrestling. So I think like there were a lot of like changes. But honestly, I think Tony and Bob Caudle were a lot better than Gordon Soley and Bob.
I disagree.
Really?
There were so many moments where nobody's saying anything.
I wondered, are they not saying anything? This is the weird thing that I need to find. Are they not saying anything, or were there parts that WWE edited out?
No, I think they're just not saying anything.
Well, see, sometimes that works for some matches, I think.
No, but there was a lot of matches where it's just silent. And it's like at least Gordon Soley is continuing this conversation with Bob, but Tony and Bob are not talking to be silent, and then all of a sudden Tony Schiavone will go, Greensboro fans, we got don't forget.
Oh, there was there was a lot of promos.
I was like, this guy, they're just not. I actually thought they didn't like each other. That's how much I was like, they're so silent.
No, I think that was the style that Jim Crockett was doing. Because I
didn't like it. I did not like it.
Okay, see, I don't mind it because I kind of felt like the wrestlers were telling the story, especially with Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard. I kind of felt like they were telling the story more. with what they were doing. I don't need Tony Schiavone scream, "Oh my god!" for like 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Well, so Tony and Bob, they're in Atlanta, Georgia. They're like I started introducing the show, and they're also gonna be doing commentary. They throw it to Johnny Weaver in Greensboro. Johnny Weaver, if you guys remember, he was wrestling on one of the veterans and
83.
rookie tag team matches in Starrcade '83. Now he's in the interview or dressing room interview position or something, and dude's forehead looks terrible. It's just he looks. It looks like Thanos' chin is on his forehead, and he reminded me of Lord Alfred Hayes in the first WrestleMania. His eyes are just darting everywhere, like he's so nervous. And we stay in Greensboro. Tom Miller, he introduces the national anthem. They've got
Oh,
these.
wait. You jumped ahead. You jumped ahead. I just want to say Johnny
Mhm.
Weaver looks terrified on camera. He
Yeah,
looks
that's what
so
I'm saying.
nervous.
His eyes were darting over the
He
place.
looks like, what the fuck am I doing here? He looks terrified.
Yes.
It's fucking hilarious. Like he clearly is not. I mean, it's not like we ever see him again. I don't know.
Who
I
do you
didn't watch
think
the
was
show.
more scared, him or Lord Alfred Hayes' first WrestleMania?
Oh, he looks more scared.
Yeah, yeah. Johnny Weaver
His
looked.
eyes are like looking around.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
looks unsure of himself. Lord Alfred
Yes.
Hayes gets over it real fast. He never does.
Yeah, Johnny Weaver, I don't think that's a good point. Lord Alfred Hayes, by midway into WrestleMania, gets his shit together. Johnny
Hmm.
Weaver never, ever gets
Well,
his
you know
shit
why? The other
together.
reason, I don't, I think Lord Alfred Hayes handled it better is because we eventually see him for years on WWE TV, and he's not phased by anything at that point. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas Johnny Weaver, after this, I don't think I ever saw him ever again. I don't even know if he's alive. So,
Yeah, yeah. Um, the Tom Miller introduces the national anthem in Greensboro. They got the sparkler graphics. They have the flag on this screen TV, and then the screen TV goes out, and they have the national anthem in the dark.
mhm.
Still the NWA, guys.
Jim Crockett
Lots of,
Promotions now in its
I
50th
know. Oh,
year.
yeah. Oh, Jim Crockett was still a lot of production issues.
Yeah.
They do come back and they turn on the lights and they show a lot of women in the audience dressed up and everything. So I was like, oh, okay. So they
Well,
have rock music.
it's still happening on Thanksgiving night. Don't forget.
Oh, yes. I know it's crazy that these women were out Thanksgiving night like this. They have the match card and everything. We go to our first
Well,
match.
someone's got to blow Tully Blanchard after his match. So.
That's true. We got our first match from Greensboro. It is for the crowning of the Mid Atlantic champion. You got Crusher Khrushchev versus Sam Houston. Tell us a little bit about both these guys.
Sam Houston is Jake the Snake's brother, who
Uh
goes on to
huh.
be a jobber in WWE. And Crusher Khrushchev is actually Demolition Smash and the Repo Man. And I think he does a way better job at Smash and the Repo Man than this guy. He's Barry Darso in real life.
Yes. I when Sam Houston was shown, dude, he got a huge pop. He plays like the young, good looking cowboy gimmick, and I really enjoyed Sam Houston selling. His selling is really good.
You
Like
know
he
why he
makes
did it? You know why he didn't make it?
alcoholic.
No, he was dating
Grizzly
Baby
Smith.
Doll. He was
What?
dating the woman that walks with Tully Blanchard. That's his real life
Yeah.
girlfriend. And he would be very jealous, and he would like get mad at the Horsemen. So they basically were like, no. They basically pulled a click on him.
Oh, that's too bad because he's really talented. His selling, I would say, go if you don't believe me, go back and watch this match. His selling is the best selling I've seen on all pay-per-view so far. Better than Ricky Steamboat's. None of it looks hokey.
Wow.
Even
Okay.
Ricky,
I didn't really think this match was that good, but okay.
oh no, I'm talking about his selling.
Oh,
Sam
I didn't even think that was that good.
Oh, dude, when he takes that one backdrop and he lands on his head and he just fucking lays there, oh, it's fucking great. Even
Okay.
even Ricky Steamboat every once in a while, it's a little hokey. It's a little like, ooh, ooh, oh, I'm Audrey Edwards, like but this guy doesn't do anything hokey like that. But ultimately, what happens is he goes for his Sam Houston's finisher is the bulldog, and he's going for it, but Khrushchev kind of like puts his foot on the rope, and he gets out of it, and he hits a sickle clothesline, and he covers him, and Crusher has his feet on the ropes, but the referee misses it. He doesn't see it, and Crusher wins the fight. Decent opening match. I thought it was a decent opening match. It's not
Oh,
bad.
the work rate in this match is like light years ahead of so much stuff in Starrcade 84 and 83.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
the thing about Starrcade 84 is the work rate was so bad that when Ricky Steamboat and Tully Blanchard into the ring, you're like, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like finally, and this show, I mean, I don't like the Crusher Khrushchev gimmick, but it was a pretty good match. It's still
I
I didn't like it, I didn't love it, but it was a good match.
I did some research and I actually like that gimmick. He's supposed to be a turncoat, and I
Oh,
actually
I didn't
like
know
that.
that because when he did the voice later,
Oh yeah, no, because I looked it up, and so I looked it up. He's gonna talk with a southern accent, and
mhm,
his gimmick is supposed to be whereas Nikita Koloff is supposed to be Russian.
mhm.
This guy is an American who's like, no, you guys are all wrong. Russians are better than us.
See, this is why Vince McMahon won because I guarantee you, if this was the gimmick in WWE, he would have had Gorilla and Mean Gene pound it that he's a turncoat as
Yes,
soon as he walked down the aisle,
yes,
and they don't mention it once.
yeah. They don't mention it. I had to look this up, yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I just thought that he's that big of an idiot that he doesn't do a Russian accent.
Exactly. No, that's what I thought. I thought the same thing that this guy's such a fucking idiot that he's just doing his southern accent. But I looked it up and it's actually supposed to be he's a turncoat, right? And actually the name,
But again, that's why Vince won
yeah,
because
and the
he's gonna
name,
drill it in your head.
yeah, and Khrushchev was actually given to him by the Kolovs. They were like, this is now your Russian name that we're giving you as a sign of
That's
respect.
nice to show.
But now that you know that, it's actually better, right? The gimmick's actually
Yeah,
better.
it's better. Yes, now I like
Yeah,
it better. Yeah.
yeah. But you're right. This is a mistake not fucking telling your audience.
Well, they do
100%.
it time and time again. Like, look, I liked the later matches because they were good. They had good work rate, but not once do they ever really tell you the backstory of why these men are in the ring and why they hate each other. They just
Including
assume
our
you
next
know.
match. Including
What?
our next match. There's
Yeah.
no background in this. By the way, after this first match, every match after this, almost everyone's gonna get a musical entrance, so that's another big difference.
But the music's overdubbed, so except for Ric
Yeah,
Flair.
overdub, yeah. Raging Bull Manny Fernandez versus Abdullah the Butcher uh, in a Mexican death match that's taking place at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. There is this fun moment where Abdullah's walking towards the ring and some fan fucking grabs the ring around his turban thing, rips, makes his turban fall, and Abdullah gets really mad. He starts attacking the audience member. Did you just see that? And
No, I didn't see that. Oh, I must have.
the
I think
security
I went
had
to the
to go
bathroom
in
during
and
this.
security had to like see him so mad that some fan fucking yanked his fucking turban. Um, when he's so as soon as his turban falls, dude, his head's already fucking bleeding.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
swear to God, his head is bleeding like before the match begins as he's walking to the fucking arena, to the ring. Um, so I looked this up. So okay, so Abdullah's there with Paul Jones, and this match, basically the Mexican death match is anything goes. There's no disqualification, but Manny's sombrero is gonna be on a pole, and the
yeah. They
first
should
person.
just called it a sombrero on a pole match.
I know everything was like street match, death match, everything, right? Um, this match. Okay, actually, I'll let you tell. What did you think about this match?
I mean, I thought it was a better Abdullah the Butcher match than the last one, but it still
Yeah,
wasn't very good. Did you hear what they called? And they didn't even say this. You know, like if Jesse Ventura, everyone wants to say Vince is racist, but if Jesse Ventura called his finishing move, and they say it very unironically, is the flying burrito, Manny
that's Manny
Fernandez.
Fernandez's finishing move, which is like a flying forearm, is a flying Mexican. It's the flying burrito. Yeah,
Flying burrito. See, in WWE, Jesse Ventura would say that as a joke, and Gorilla would admonish him. Here, Tony Schiavone just says it straight. It comes off so more racist.
yeah. So how it's
The
you know
whole
what
thing
it's
comes off really racist. This match.
you know what it's equivalent of? It's equivalent of the ramen noodle moonsault. That
But
Tozawa.
even then, I think Corey Graves or someone said, "Hey, watch it."
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Here, like Tony Schiavone just says, he just hit the flying burrito. Like we're all like, um, what did you think of the match?
So I had very low expectations for this match,
Mhm.
very low. So it ended up being much better than I thought. So I liked it. There is a what do you call it? Abdullah's Butcher. He kind of sucks.
He's horrible.
So he pulls out a spike. He has a spike in his fucking like pajama pants. He pulls out the spike like right away. It's the first move. Manny Fernandez is bleeding already, but Manny, to his credit, I don't know if this guy's an asshole or anything, but
Well,
he
Matt
is
Hardy said
not
he was.
he is not a bad wrestler. He's not that bad. He monkey flipped fucking Abdullah the Butcher, that huge motherfucker. He fucking monkey flipped him. People are going nuts for that. He take off his boot. He's doing boot shots to him. There's the part where Paul Jones, he actually is a competent manager in this because Abdullah's supposed to be like a savage. So Paul Jones is like, the hat, the hat. You hear him scream for the hat, and Abdullah like realizes, oh, I gotta fucking go for the hat instead of beating the shit out of this guy. He goes up for the hat. Manny Fernandez low blows this guy. He falls. He takes a big fall. Very fucking hokey looking fall. But then the Raging Bull suplexes Abdullah the Butcher. Dude, that was impressive. People fucking went crazy for that. He suplexed that big
Yeah, that was good.
crowd going crazy. Raging Bull climbs up to the top to grab the fucking sombrero, and Abdullah the Butcher takes the spike and he spikes him in the dick.
Oh,
He spiked him in the dick. That shit was fucking. I was dying. Oh my god! And the commentators are like, that one hurt.
they finally spoke on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Manny's in the corner. Abdullah runs to fucking ram him. He moves out of the way. So Abdullah the Butcher hits the fucking post. Manny covers in for the win. It was fantastic, dude. I fucking love this match. I will make. I'm
Wow.
expecting really low. It's much better. Give it a second watch. You'll love it. It's
So I was watching this match, and after we saw the '83 Starrcade, I was like, why did Abdullah the Butcher, of all people, get not only get in the Hall of Fame, but he got an induction and an acceptance speech like before Lex Luger, before the British Bulldog. Because the first time he's on WWE TV is at the Hall of Fame in 2011, right?
uh-huh.
Which is fucking bizarre. You think about like how did this guy get that? And so I watched an interview with the Honky Tonk Man, and he's basically Abdullah's best friends with Johnny Ace. So Johnny Ace forced it through.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
because it's so weird that this guy got to be on stage. Fucking what's Luna Vachon? They put her in like the secret entrance. She didn't get an induction. So many people that were like WWE for life don't get an induction. This guy did. Isn't
Dude, I had to look this up because I was like, why is Abdullah the Butcher like I think the reason why this match was so good was because of Manny Fernandez, right?
that?
The
That's exactly
promos
it.
and stuff.
That's
But
exactly. Anytime
why
an
is
Abdul the
this?
Butcher match is good, it's because someone else in the ring. It's never
Yeah,
Abdul.
but so I was like, why is this guy constantly? This slob is constantly in these high-profile pay-per-views and stuff. I looked this guy up. This guy won 2 champion carnivals and All Japan Pro Wrestling. For those of you guys who don't know, that
He's
is
big in Japan.
basically
He's very popular in Japan.
Yeah, that is basically Japan, All Japan's version of the G1 Climax. It's a big tournament. He's won 2 of them. That means he's had to have multiple matches that probably were all like this, and he fucking won 2 of them. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he has powerful friends.
yeah, it's crazy. Johnny Weaver in the back, he's interviewing the new champion Crusher, which we already talked about this. And we're going to go to match number 3 from Greensboro, the Texas Bull Rope match. It is Ron Bass versus Black Bart with JJ Dillon. If Ron Bass wins, he gets, like 5 minutes or something with JJ or some shit like that. JJ's in there with a tuxedo shirt, which I got a kick out of. Um, dude, they're both cowboys. They're both fucking cowboys, so it's like cowboy versus cowboy match.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 3rd match, and we've already seen 4 cowboys. Sam Houston was a cowboy. Manny Fernandez is a Mexican cowboy, and there's these 2 cowboys. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. Why is it everybody just had the same fucking gimmick? It's so stupid. This is why you're NWA. You know what also made me do? It made me actually appreciate Hangman Page because at least Hangman's like a different. He's not a I'm a tough cowboy. Like he's just like I'm a sensitive cowboy. All right, that's different. This is like a match between I'm a tough cowboy versus I'm a tough cowboy.
Mhm.
They used
Well, I mean, in the cow, there hasn't been really a tough cowboy gimmick since Bradshaw when he was doing Justin Hawk Bradshaw. You know?
I think I'm okay with never seeing a tough cowboy gimmick. I'm
No, I
okay.
don't. Yeah, yeah, me too.
Too
But I'm just
many.
saying there hasn't really been. There was Jimmy Wang Yang, who was a goofy cowboy.
Yeah, and actually I like that because it's like a
Yeah.
different take. Yeah. Um, what do you call it? So, they got the Texas Bull Rope with the bell on. They used the bell right away. Like the first move, Black Part's already bleeding. So this is the third match in, and we already got two fucking matches where there's bloody messes.
Hmm.
They haven't changed that from NWA in '83. Um, Bass does the bell shot from the second turnbuckle for the win, which is gonna kind of lead immediately into our second match after this is JJ Dillon versus Ron Bass. There's a sneak attack. JJ takes off the shirt. Everyone looks like a fat slob. It reminded me of Starrcade '83 so much. There's
Hmm.
a ref bump. Black Bart comes back in and power drives Ron Bass for JJ to win. What did you think about this entire
I
mess?
thought you might as well just have had Black Bart win. When JJ beat Ron Bass, it took the air out of that arena. It's
Mm-hmm.
like this
Mm-hmm.
entire thing was a waste of time. Like the whole
Yeah.
point of him getting JJ was to beat the shit out of JJ, and then
Yes.
it just makes him look like a fucking idiot.
Whose call do you think that was?
Probably Dusty because JJ did a lot of stuff backstage. They probably wanted to protect JJ. Honestly, though, JJ Dillon is a better performer than Outlaw Ron Bass. So
Dude, all three of these guys are just like fat slobs, but at
I
least
know, but
JJ is
JJ's
a
good in the mic.
fucking man. Yeah, at least he's just a manager. But they just look like it reminded me of Starrcade '83 where everyone had like a belly and skinny arms. I'm just
Billy
like
Willie.
they look like,
I'm shocked that Ron Bass made it in WWE. I'm shocked. It was only like,
yeah, I looked at him, I was like, this guy was actually in WWE.
and he took out Brutus Beefcake, and that's why Ultimate Warrior got the title shot at SummerSlam '88 because Outlaw Ron Bass destroyed Brutus Beefcake on Superstars. So he got a push too.
So we go back to the Omni for match number 4. It's arm wrestling. Billy Graham versus the Barbarian with Paul Jones. Um, there's this great back and forth where they're like Billy Graham's like, yeah, we're gonna wrestle right-handed, and Paul Jones is like, no, his right hand's broken. He's got to use this one. And Billy Graham, you hear him, you can hear. There's no microphone, but you hear him go, oh yeah, that one gonna be broke too. And I love that line. He was like, it was just good. Billy Graham's good actually. He's just great. They sit. There's a table with two chairs, and they fucking sit there, and they're doing the arm wrestling. And Billy Graham is just selling the shit out of this, right? Like his facial expressions and his fucking like his agony of trying to fucking throw this guy over. And as it's happening, they start like moving in their chairs, right? Both of them. It's a point where they both have to kick their fucking chairs, and now they're standing. This fucking gets the crowd in a frenzy. This has got to be like the best arm wrestling thing in wrestling I've ever seen. This
Well,
was
that's
really
yeah. Well,
good.
nobody cares about arm wrestling now, but back then they took it seriously.
Yeah, but it looked really good too. It's just
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
way he sold it, and
By the way,
ultimately,
the crowd loved everything. You got to admit, this company was on fire with the crowd because
yeah,
there were things in '83, '84 that kind of just sat there. The crowd loved pretty much this entire show.
yeah, 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 they definitely did. So Billy Graham wins, and as soon as he wins, Paul Jones hits him with the cane. And Graham starts bleeding. By the way, he supposedly wins $10,000 from this. So Graham's bleeding. So match number 4, 3 matches with blood in it already. They starts fighting with Barbarian, but ultimately there's a deep disqualification by Paul Jones, and afterward Barbarian keeps attacking Graham, but Graham walks away with the victory.
What did you
What
think
do
of
you think?
Paul Jones? I really haven't watched much of him until now.
Me neither, but I would say I did not understand why he was in so much of matches in the first 2 Starrcades, but in this one he actually played more of a role.
But
So
he's kind of I think they're realizing they need Jimmy Hart's and Bobby Heenan's. But honestly, like nobody I never hear anyone be like, oh, you know who I was a fan of Paul Jones. Like I've never heard anyone say that.
no,
People have said they're fans of JJ Dillon, and I am one of them. But I've never heard anyone say like, "Oh, I love Paul Jones."
if they had replaced Paul Jones with anybody else in that same role, I don't think you could really tell a difference.
And you know what makes Paul Jones look worse is when Jim Cornette comes out later.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
because
it's
Jim
like,
Cornette.
oh, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, yeah. Paul Jones is kind of like, don't get me wrong, he does what he's supposed to do, like fine. There's
He's
nothing
just
wrong with it,
he,
but
he
it's just nothing. It could just be replaced by anybody. It could be played by
exactly.
anybody.
He's like a lot of the impact. Well, he's like Eddie Edwards or Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
and
Like if I took the referee Tommy Young and was just like, can you just play this bad heel ref manager role? It would just come off the same way. But like Jim Cornette just has a little more charisma, right? That's what I'm saying. So you can't really please Jim Cornette. But yeah, Paul Jones is like don't get him wrong. Once again, he's not bad. He's just not
but
memorable.
when Jim Cornette walks out, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
he's so much better
yeah.
than Paul Jones.
He's memorable. This guy, Paul Jones, he's
Yeah.
not memorable at all. But what did you think about the match? What did you think about the arm wrestling and the actual first time we're seeing?
It was all right. I didn't really think much about it. It was fine. You
But
know,
Barbarian,
I was like, you know, I kind of think the Barbarian should have got a little bit more than he did in his career. He's kind of interesting to me. Every now and then I forget how long he wrestled because it feels like he was only there for like 3 years, but he was around for like almost 20 years. The Barbarian.
so Barbarian looks like $1 million in this, but I was figuring that maybe he wasn't that like skilled wise by that time this is happening
Mhm.
or something because it just wasn't a lot of moves, right?
Yeah,
But I thought Billy Graham sold very well for him.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Billy
yeah, yeah.
Graham is a very good performer. I don't, he really is. Because by the way, he's back to wearing the tie dye and shit like that.
Yeah,
Um,
he seems a lot more. Superstar Billy Graham seems a lot more comfortable now than he did last year.
yeah, and you know what else? You can totally see where Hogan gets it from.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the facial expressions, it's all that. It's all his Billy Graham is just selling. He's not a technical expert. He's just a seller, and
Mhm.
it's great. But yeah, Barbarian, by the way, looked like $1 million on this fucking thing. Really
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that's
I always wonder, like, I feel like because the Power of Pain, I feel like they never should have broke them up.
in
I feel like they
WWE.
should have been a tag team for like 20. Like they should have been a tag team as long as the Usos been a tag team.
Didn't they? I think
Vince breaks them up, and I always felt like that was a mistake.
yeah, but I also understand why he probably broke him up because he probably looked at Warlord and was like, yeah, this guy could be a single star.
Yeah, and it never really. Yeah, Warlord had a great. They
I,
both had
I,
great looks.
I understand why he wanted to try because
Like
yeah, both of them guys are great.
I'll even say like in WCW, I would have had Ming be a singles. I would have brought in the Warlord and brought back the Powers of Pain in WCW in the '90s. But
Yeah.
we'll talk
Um.
about that as we get
Yeah,
more
we'll talk about that as we go along.
down
Yeah.
the road. Yeah.
Um. By the way, one of the things I do enjoy about this Starrcade more than the other two is that like now you're seeing less slobs. You're seeing more like actual like
Yes,
better looking guys.
because
One
Vince is
thing,
knocking.
yeah, but one thing I don't like them doing is one of the reasons why the first Starrcade was so much fun to watch was there was this storyline they did the whole show where they're constantly interviewing Ric Flair and Harley Race. And they took that all away here, and
There's
I didn't like
no there's no background on any of the matches.
nothing, nothing. That's
They don't tell you anything of why some of this stuff is happening. It just happens.
yeah, that's a mistake
But
in my opinion. Huge,
yeah,
huge.
it's like yes, it's a huge mistake.
Match number 5 from Greensboro. We got the national champion Terry Taylor versus Buddy Landell with JJ Dillon. Buddy Landell looks like a very cheap version of Ric Flair.
That's
Everything
exactly what
about
he
it.
was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's 2 ref bumps in this match. Another match of ref bumps. They go for a second turnbuckle superplex, which is Terry Taylor's move. But as he's up there, JJ grabs his foot. So Terry Taylor falls, and Buddy Landell kind of like falls on top of him in a crossbody, and then covers him for the pin. Buddy Landell wins the national championship. What did you think of this match?
Not much. I mean, both guys are very like they have the ability, but they're just so friggin' bland. I didn't think much about it. You know, Buddy Landel, everyone says like he's one of the great lost opportunities. He could have been like the Shawn Michaels to Ric Flair's Ric Flair, and I don't see it. There's some people are missed opportunities in this company. Not him. Not him. The read on him is like he could have been like the guy. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I had to look this up because I was not familiar with Buddy Landel at all.
Well,
And
he's his own worst enemy. Shortly after this, he just gets drunk and doesn't wake up and misses a TV taping, and they basically blackball him from NWA after that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he gets fired pretty much right after that. They stripped this belt off of him,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
He's actually got major drug problems, including cocaine and stuff. And
Yeah.
he eventually finds God and he sobers up and he becomes like a big deal in Smoky Mountain, where when they have a thing with WWE, he actually gets a match with Shawn Michaels.
He actually wrestles. He gets signed WWE. He attacks Ahmed Johnson in 1995.
Yeah, and there's a promo he cuts on Shawn Michaels from Smoky Mountain that I listened to. You can find it on YouTube.
Oh,
Just go,
really?
Buddy Landel delivers one of the best and most personal promos. It is actually a very good promo, and when you
I
watch
think
that,
that's what got him hired by WWE. Yeah.
yeah, when you watch that, you go, "Oh, I can see where people think this guy has got some great talent." But when you're watching this match, he just comes off like a really cheap Ric Flair. He even does the Flair flop, you
Yeah.
know? And
I think
supposedly,
that
what?
was a massive mistake to put on this guy because you're
Yeah.
basically having him copy your main eventer. It would be like if somebody starts walking out on SmackDown, like I'm the head of the table. I'm the head of the
Yeah,
table. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
By the way, Buddy Landel is also calling himself the
The
Nature Boy.
Nature Boy.
Yeah, he's got the Nature Boy hair. Supposedly, he was getting groomed to actually face
Yes,
Flair.
it was supposed to build towards him and Fred Flair. And but you know, when that doesn't happen and you're watching this old shit, he looks like an idiot.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Match number 6 at the Omni again. It is for the national tag titles. By the way, if you guys are kind of confused, they have the NWA tag titles and the national tag titles. They got the NWA world title. They got the national world title. It's I don't know.
Just like Tony Khan was
Yeah,
inspired.
there's too many fucking belts. There's too many fucking belts. But it is for the national tag titles. You got the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Ole and Arn Anderson versus Wahoo McDaniels, Billy Jack Haynes. Um, I know some people. I've heard some people say they don't like Arn as a wrestler. He didn't do anything interesting, but he is a really good wrestler too. Right?
Yeah.
Just the little things he does is so fucking
In
smart.
the '80s, Arn was as good as they come. I could see people being bored with him by the mid '90s,
Mhm.
but in the '80s, he's as good as they come.
You know what? He's not like Arn Anderson is not the good guy. He's the bad guy, right?
Yes.
And so he's not going to do the flashy shit because he's not the good guy. He's got to do the other stuff, but he does the other stuff so well. This is great moment
Arn
where,
Arn
yeah,
Arn Anderson's character is I'm here to win and leave.
yes, yes.
I'm
Oh my
not
God,
I'm
yes,
not trying to put on a show for you. I just want to win
yes,
and then go home.
yes. I'm not here to be flashy, and I'm not trying to make fans. I'm just trying to win, right?
Yeah.
There's this great moment. So the story of this match is the Minnesota Wrecking Crew is just constantly working on Wahoo McDaniels, his arm. And Billy Jack Haynes is constantly just not allowed into the match. In fact, he's in the match very little, which I'm thinking is because he's probably very green.
Yeah.
There's this great moment where Wahoo, like, he's getting beaten on by Arn, but he finally knocks Arn down. But Arn kind of like tangles his legs around Wahoo's legs. So Wahoo trips and falls trying to make the tag. And Arn just like tags in fucking Ole. I love that. That was just so beautiful. Um, the finish of this match comes when they're in the corner. Wahoo is getting a beating on Arn. Ole Anderson trips Wahoo McDaniels. Arn makes the cover, but while he's covering Wahoo, Ole holds Wahoo's legs so that Wahoo can't kick out. I thought this was a competent tag team match. It was good.
I love this match. I love the ending. I'm gonna say it's Billy Jack Hayes' best match. I'm not saying much, but I when this match started and Billy Jack Hayes came out, I was like, oh, And
dude.
then at the end, I was like, that was pretty good. And it's
But yeah,
all you know who else
he
is a
was
good
hardly
worker?
in the match.
You know who else is a good worker? Nobody ever people always like to shit on him, but he's a good fucking worker. Is Oli too?
Yeah, here's the thing. This match, I would say Oli, Arn, and Wahoo were all good in
Yeah.
this match. And Billy Jack, you can't really tell because he was hardly in the match. He really was hardly in the match.
Well, that's the way that's
Yeah,
why it's his
that's the
best
way it
match of
should
all
be.
time.
He would they're beating on Wahoo and he's getting upset, so he kind of runs in and beats them both. But the referee's like, dude, you didn't tag in, get back to your corner.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this about Billy. Out of all four guys, he looked the best.
Well, yeah.
Great tan,
Well,
great body, great height. I can
when
totally see why they
when I
hired him.
saw him as a kid, I kind of thought like he could be like groomed to be the next Hogan. I loved his look as a kid. I thought
Oh
he looked
yeah, he
like
looks great.
a superhero. But I heard the guy's a piece of shit, and he wasn't that good of a worker. So
Well, yeah, it's you know what? This is a perfect example of how to cover up someone's flaws as a wrestler. You
yeah,
know?
no, he looked great in WWE. I mean, his match at WrestleMania 3, they made him look great. And we'll cover that when we get to it. But like, I don't know.
Yeah,
And I like the name too. Billy Jack Hayes is a great name.
yeah. BJ Haynes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DM
We
Haynes.
what?
DM Haynes.
Yeah, we get a nervous Johnny Weaver in the back with JJ Dillon and Buddy Landell. Buddy Landell's a new national champion, so he calls out everybody. He's like, good promo. I thought it was a decent promo. He called out everybody, including Ric Flair, so you can see where they were sowing the seed. Supposedly,
Yeah.
you were the national champion. It's kind of like their IC belt, and it's like you're next in line to face a champion.
You know what I could see them doing if Buddy Landell stuck around? Flair assembles the Horsemen, and he thinks the Horsemen have his back, and then they're with Landell the entire time, and they turn on Flair, and then it's Flair and Dusty trying to take out the Horsemen. I could see that if Landell stuck around.
Yeah, I can see that. That would be pretty cool. Was never gonna happen, but I can see that happening. Yeah. Match number 7 from Greensboro. It's a I Quit steel cage match for the U.S. Championship. We got Tully the champion, Tully Blanchard with champion with Baby Doll versus Magnum TA. There's a lot of new faces from like Starrcade '84. Like so many new people. I love this. Magnum starts bleeding right away. It's so stupid. There's a ref bomb, and Baby Doll throws in a chair, and fucking Tully grabs it and he smashes the chair. I thought he was gonna use it, but he smashes it, and then he gets like a really sharp piece of the wood, and he starts going for Magnum's head. And everyone's just like, "Oh shit, this looks bad." It is like a sharp piece of wood, and they're struggling and struggling. Magnum breaks free. He grabs that piece of wood, that spiked up wood, and he starts using it on Tully's own head. And Tully's bleeding everywhere. Tully has to quit. Magnum TA's wins. What did you think of this match?
This is my favorite NWA match of all time.
Really?
Yeah, this is my
No.
favorite. In fact, I would say if we're gonna combine Jim Crockett and NWA with WCW's might be my favorite. I love this match. I love everything about this match. I think both guys walk out of this looking better than ever. A moment that I never really noticed, and I noticed this today, was Magnum at the end of the match. Magnum's going to attack Tully again, and Tully is cowering. And
Yes.
Magnum looks at the piece of wood, and he looks at him, and he just walks away. It leaves him a
Yeah.
quivering mess. And the women, do you see the women like jumping over the rails to like grab him? Like people are like, he's like the Beatles. They love him, but it's like,
He's a tall, good-looking dude.
but like that moment when he looks at, that's like what a baby face should be. That moment where he like he goes, wait, I'm better than this guy. I'm a good person. You know what? Fuck you. Lay your own shit, and then just walks away with the belt. It was like, wow, this guy. Like the plan was, by the way, for him to beat Ric Flair, Starrcade '86.
Yeah, you and I, we talked about this, about not about this match, but Magnum TA, and how we said everyone goes, "Oh, he could have been the next big thing," and we were just like, "We don't see it, right?"
I
But
saw
we
it in
said,
this match.
yeah, but when we said we see it in Gino Fernandez, right?
Yeah.
But
This
this
match, with the way that match ends, and the look he gives, and the way he walks out, he like everything he did was kind of like what '80s women in the Midwest see like a man doing, right?
yes,
Like a man who's like there to protect you, and it was like It was just fucking money. I would tell people because there's so much of this match nobody ever recreated. I would like have modern wrestlers rewatch this match because there's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff. And here's the other thing: Tully, and I think MJF should copy this. Tully is still over at the end of this, even though he says I quit and cowers and begs and pleads. He's still over. The thing about heels now is they're not willing to be seen as buffoons. You know what I'm saying? Like
yes.
they're not willing to be. Tully is left a mess. He's left a fucking mess, and he's still over.
I would say this is a good match, but I like the Tully versus Steamboat better.
Really, no, I love this match.
Yeah.
It, you
I
know
mean,
why? Because this
they're
feels
both
like
Tully matches. I guess you could say Tully's a very good wrestler, but I know it's like we're arguing which Tully's match is better, but I just like that match better.
why I
Yeah.
like this match is also because it's not really a match. It's just these two guys are trying to beat the shit out of each other. They're not trying to hit moves. They're not trying to do their finishers. They're just trying to get the other guy to say I quit. That's all they're trying to do.
I think that's probably why I do like the other match
Oh
better.
yeah,
You're
no, I
right.
like this because the first time I saw this match too was on a compilation tape, so I didn't know the back. So I'm just imagining, for all I know, the story before this match could have sucked. But I'm
Yeah.
just imagining what could these guys have been going through that they're trying to stab each other. It's just the violence is so different, but it feels so real. It just feels like two men who hate each other.
By the way, this is a match where they had to get a microphone and had the guy has to say I
Yeah,
quit. But I think I don't know. It was just like a lot of like heavy breathing, like
but
some
that's what
parts
they
of
would do if they're like getting the shit beat out of each other.
some parts of it were kind of annoying. But it was yeah. Anyway, regardless, we both liked the match.
Yeah.
Match number 8 from the Omni again. It is a well, actually, we're gonna go from probably the best match of the card to the worst match of the card.
Oh really? Wow, I'm
On
surprised.
the
Okay.
Omni, it's the Atlanta street fight with Jimmy Valiant and Miss Atlanta Lively versus with Big Mama versus the Midnight Express. Bobby Ian, Dennis Condrey with Jim Cornette. The Midnight Express are wearing full tux. By the way, if you guys are wondering, Miss Atlanta Lively is Ronnie Garvin in drag.
Mm-hmm.
They they start the match with like Miss Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Atlanta Lively just throwing powder in somebody's face. And throughout this whole match, everyone's throwing powder at each
Yeah.
Everyone is just throwing powder at each other. There's so much powder in this match. The Midnights are bleeding early. Just everyone they pants Ronnie Garvin at one point. Then there's a Jimmy what do you call it? Jim Cornette does a racket shot on Ronnie Garvin's head. Bobby Ian comes off the top rope, but as he's jumping off the top, Miss Atlanta Lively fucking like strikes him right in the fucking throat. Like he like, lands on his throat, like bam, right in his throat. He falls out and cover him. The good guys win. They strip Jim Cornette. The crowd goes crazy, and Roddy Garvin is like just like a bleeding mess. He's just bleeding
Yeah.
everywhere.
I
What did you
gotta
think?
admit, I'm very impressed the wig never fell off.
Yeah, the wig never fell off. You're right.
Yeah, very impressive with the wig. I like this match. I was stupid, but like the gimmick didn't hurt it because these guys really like went at each other. I don't. I like the match. I thought the Midnight Express was again like they're such good workers. They made this work. I hate Jimmy Valiant, but I like this match.
Oh
I
my
because
god,
the other three people.
so much about this match I didn't like.
What didn't you like?
By the way, Miss Alice Blake Lively, Miss Atlanta Lively, they're playing it kind of like Santina Morella, whereas in like
Yeah.
everybody knows it's Ronnie Garvin in drag, but they're playing it off like they
Like
don't
it's a
know
real
that
woman.
it's Ronnie Garvin, that it's a real woman, which I think is so fucking stupid and insults the audience's intelligence. And this is exactly
Well,
what
I
this is the
think,
exact complaint Jim Cornette has on a lot of AEW stuff.
but
It's
I
like
think the
you guys do
storyline
the
before
same
this
fucking
because
thing, dude.
this match is actually on a WWE Blu-ray at like the best street fights. Ronnie Garvin got suspended or fired, and he can't reveal he's Ronnie Garvin because he'll get fired again. So that's why the announcers aren't saying that's just Ronnie Garvin because they're trying to make sure he doesn't get fired.
Okay,
Think.
but yeah, okay, it's fine.
I mean,
It's
you know,
still
when
stupid.
Hulk Hogan was Mr. America,
Yeah,
Taz
that
wasn't
was
saying that's
stupid
Hulk
too.
Hogan.
That was stupid too.
I know.
Um, And like you mentioned, Jimmy Valiant in this is in this match, so it automatically drops a full grade of whatever it could be. Jimmy Valiant is so fucking bad. I don't know how this guy keeps getting on these shows.
Well, the fans
Every
like him.
time he gets hit, he just starts doing like it looks awful.
I just want to know why. You know what? I agree with a lot of things Jim Cornette say about AEW, but I want to know why he finds Jimmy Valiant more acceptable than Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks.
Yes,
Because
yes, I would love to know
to
this.
me, the Bucks. Well, I like Kenny Omega, but the Bucks and this guy are just as bad. Like, they're
Dude,
just as unbelievably stupid.
his selling is so preposterous. Like he's just constantly shaking and like hulking up, and he's skinny as fuck. You didn't think it was annoying that like there's everyone's just throwing powder at each other? It's so fucking
No,
stupid.
because I was like, because it was a street fight. But see, I like the
Everyone's throwing
chaos.
powder at each other. It's so fucking
I don't
dumb.
know. I like the Midnight Express. I thought it looked great. I thought for being in a dress and a garter belt, I thought Ronnie Garvin, his work rate was good, and I just didn't really pay attention. There's nonstop. Look, the thing about this match is the action is nonstop. So if you don't want to pay attention to the Boogie Woogie Man, you don't have to.
Yeah, I guess. I
You
felt
could
like
just
this was.
follow what Miss Atlanta Lively's doing.
I mean, what do you think was a worse match in this? If you don't think this was a bad match, what was the worst match on this pay per view then?
I would say the Flying Burrito match. Oh
Really?
no!
No way.
The Terry Taylor match.
Terry Taylor versus Buddy Line.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah.
There's
Because
definitely
look, here's the deal. You can be
okay.
like, oh, he's in a dress, oh, they're throwing powder, but at least there's stuff happening. There's stuff happening.
Yeah, no. I will
The
give you that.
crowd
At
is like
least,
ballistic. There's stuff happening.
yeah, at least there's stuff happening. I'll give you that. The reason why I thought this was the worst match is because it's just so preposterous. Everything about it is just
But
like Jimmy Valiant, anyone taking him seriously, the guy in the dress, the powder, the
I
crazy
can
amount of
take
powder being thrown. I was like, oh,
yeah, I can
yeah.
take
But
preposterous as long as the action's good. And I thought the action.
yeah. I guess I'm just like Jim Cornette. I can't take bullshit, right, Jimmy? Anyway, Magnum. Wait, you should do a
Magnum.
Jimmy Cornette impression. You do pretty good impressions. Better. It cut out. The mic cut out. I can't hear you.
What do you mean you can't hear me?
I couldn't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
No, I can hear you now, but I couldn't hear you when you're doing the Jim.
Oh,
Cornette.
that must have been a connection because my mic is.
Well, the moment's gone. Magnum TA he does an interview. He calls out everyone as well because he's a U.S. champion now. It was all right. Nothing special, but not bad either. Match number 9 from the Greensboro Coliseum. Another steel cage match. Steel cage match for the World Tag Team titles. It's the Ivan and Nikita Koloffs were the champions with Crusher Khrushchev versus the Rock and Roll Express with Don Carnoodle. This is the third time we're seeing Don Carnoodle in a non-wrestling role. Does Don Carnoodle ever wrestle? Ever?
I guess like on the jobber shows. I don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew of Don Carnoodle before this is that he was Sergeant Slaughter's tag partner before Slaughter made it big.
Oh, this guy never wrestled. He just never wrestled. So, you know what? This is I love the matchup. It's like two humongous Russian dudes versus two small American guys, but the American guys are like faster, while the Russian guys are more powerful. And the commentators do point this out. I love my favorite storyline in wrestling is the fast small guy versus the big strong. I love that. I could watch that match all the time. We're talking like Darby Allin versus Samoa Joe. I could watch this story like for every day, all day. Right away, Ivan Koloff is bleeding. So another match with fucking blood. Basically, at the end of this match, everyone's fucking bleeding. By the time this match is over, everyone's bleeding. There's Ivan Koloff goes for a cover, but there's a ref bump, so the ref can't make a count. And there is a blind tag by Ricky. So Ivan doesn't see it, and Ricky hits a victory roll on Ivan for the win. After the win, though, and the Rock and Roll Express wins, the Koloffs beat the shit out of the good guys. There's this one point where Ricky climbs the rope, the turnbuckle, and one of the Koloffs just grabs him and like pushes him over the fucking top rope, the cage, and he fucking falls to the bottom. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You gotta kill the fucking guy. And they just beat the shit out of everybody. Like they beat up Don Cornudo, they beat up
Yeah,
everybody, and just walk away. Um, I thought this match was good, but what do you think?
I loved it. I thought it was a great match. I loved the way like the finish though was great. The way they cut off Nikita from interfering with the pin, it didn't make him look weak. They just like kind of outsmart him. You know, I thought it was a great. Ivan Koloff. I see Ivan Koloff, and I mean the guy was fucking old even back then. I'm like, ugh. But I gotta tell you, Nikita Koloff doesn't have a good. I gotta tell you, this was a great match. I thought this was like great tag team wrestling. And again, it's probably all the Rock and Roll Express. But man, this was a good match. The way they use this is why I feel like they need to like enforce tag rules more in AEW because you have so many talented tag teams and you could pull off a match 20 times better than this if you just do the tag rules and the
Mhm.
like it was so good, man. Yeah, I really like this match. I was
One
shocked.
one thing about Ivan I will give credit for is that he's the guy who'll always hit the pinball, right?
Yeah.
And you keep Ivan looking strong. So
Ivan's there. Yeah, but Nikita looked great. Nikita, there's some moves where Nikita hits them. I'm like, I think one of the big missed opportunities is Vince never getting his hands on Nikita.
and here's the thing though, Ivan, if you watch the match, he's
Mhm.
actually in the match more. He actually does
Yeah,
more of the work.
but when
Nikita
he
gets
gets
all
it,
the
there's a moment where Nikita breaks up the pin. He just fucking hammers these two guys,
yeah.
and it's like, whoa.
Nikita is all like he gets the flash, like he gets like the cool spots, but most of the match is done by Ivan. I think that's a good dynamic. When you have somebody who looks great but is too green, you put a veteran in who could carry the most of the match, and then you let the cool looking guy get most of the cool spots. And I'm okay with that. That's the way it really should be. But
There's a rumor out there, and I don't know if it's true that after WrestleMania 3, because they used to plan a year in advance, Hogan suggested that Vince bring in Nikita for the main event of WrestleMania 4. And I think that would have been an insanely awesome match.
was Nikita just like a very loyal person and was staying loyal to
I
NWA?
don't know. I don't know. I know his wife got really sick at the end of '87.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
Oh.
Tony, I don't know. He had like a weird personal. I don't know what went down with him, but uh, he could have been he could have been something, brother.
Yeah, no, he's good.
He
He's
still
still
was
kind of
something. I mean, he's one of the only guys in NWA I was a fan of as a kid, and I didn't even watch the show. But the magazines, those magazines used to put him over, man. So he still was something. It's just
yeah,
like
he's still kind of green here, but he
he
looks
looks
like
like a
he
million bucks.
belongs in WWE. I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
that's what it looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, all right, our final match number 10. It is for the NWA World Title. We got Ric Flair, the champion, versus Dusty Rhodes. I'd say by this time I'm already exhausted. By this point, it's like a 3 hour show.
Mhm.
And there is, I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed this. There is a fucking fan who keeps shouting, Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah. Yeah.
woo,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
throughout this entire
Yes, I
22
did
minute
hear that.
match.
Hmm.
And it was driving me crazy. I felt like this tick going up the side of my neck every time I heard him say, Dusty Rhodes, woo,
Hmm.
woo. It kind of kept me away from this match. Flair starts bleeding in this match. Basic match. Ref is very slow to his counts, and the whole story of this match is Dusty's got a really bad ankle. Flair's working on it the whole time. There's a ref bump at the end of the match. Arn and Ole run in. They beat the shit out of Dusty, but Dusty is still able to cradle Ric Flair and win. Because a new referee comes and makes the count. He gets the title. All the good guys celebrate in the ring with him, and then afterwards, in the dressing room, Tony Schiavone is interviewing Dusty, and they're celebrating like rock and roll. What did you think of this match?
This match was good. It was a fine match. It wasn't the best match.
It wasn't the
Um,
best match.
it was okay. It was fine. It was both guys worked hard. Here's the thing: after watching this show, I'm gonna say something, and this is kind of fun watching all this because I'm learning because I just feel like history is written by the winners, and the winner in this case is Ric Flair. Um, I kind of think Ric Flair held that company back. I think that I think Tully should have been in the Ric Flair position. I think Magnum should have been going for the world title by now. I think that you could have done something with Nikita, the rock and rolls. There's so many. Hey, 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 my cat. Get out of here. Get out of here. Don't do that. He's about
Jesus,
to
scared
go
the
on the laptop.
hell out of me, dude.
So sorry, he's about to go on the laptop, and then he likes to hit, and then he fucked up this whole recording, and then we had to restart. Ric Flair's okay. Like that's the thing. Is like this is like so. I'm doing the Ric Flair count of good match, bad match. So far, he's had 2 good matches and 1 bad match, but he's okay. I don't see how he's the greatest of all time compared to some of these other people. I mean, I feel like Bobby Eaton. I feel like Tully Blanchard, Magnum TA. They're just as good workers. I don't see what this thing that makes him so much better.
I I hate to say this, but I agree because this fucking like you know what? Like Ric
It's
Flair's
just
not bad. I can't say he's bad, but
he's not bad,
this is the
but he's not the
third
greatest.
this is the third Starrcade he's headlined in a row, right? And
Yeah.
you can say Hogan did the same thing, but Hogan was different. When you watch WrestleMania, you could totally tell this guy's got the most charisma. Like he's
Yeah.
100% got it. And this and Ric Flair, like God, man, just watching him, like, and you're telling me he's gonna fight Dusty in main event in 2 Starrcades in a row. It's just kind of at this point I was just like done with this, and I just skipped ahead.
I mean,
This guy fucking headlines like more Starrcades.
oh no, I know. He goes on and on and on. Yeah, yeah.
It's too
He
much.
had
You're right.
he listen.
Other people. This is, you know what? You know what killed the NWA? Not creating new stars.
Well, the thing about it is that like every see the whole fucking narrative on WCW and NWA is that whenever someone wanted to like downgrade Ric Flair, they're seen as this fucking villain and this idiot, and everything should revolve around Ric Flair and WCW and NWA. And okay, I'll believe that when I don't have to fucking actually sit and watch the shows. But when you sit and watch the shows, it's so apparent that this company should not revolve around Ric Flair
Yeah.
and that he's just okay. I'm at the edge of my seat with Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard. I'm like
You know,
transfixed.
I would say Tully would have been so Ric Flair
Tully
is
should have been
fighting.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, Ric Flair versus Dusty in this matchup. So the previous one, it was kind of like they're both good guys, but in this one, Ric Flair is clearly the bad guy, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think there's nobody else on this that's kind of like more hated as a wrestler than Tully. Tully is just like he's just like a heel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, he would have been better for like a really like fan favorite Dusty to go up against. You know, I,
Yeah,
I
and
agree. I
they
agree.
do have, and they have. I've seen the matches. They have great matches. But my whole thing is like Jim Herd, who gets vilified all the time. I listened. The last fan listened to his interview he did with Conrad, which Conrad charged like so much money to hear, but they paid for it. And basically, Jim Herd's the reason why Ric Flair left for Vince. Jim Herd's thing was like, listen, for years we've done the storyline. Ric Flair gets the belt, he loses the belt. He gets the belt, he loses the belt. I go to him. What are your ideas for the future? His ideas for the future are: I get the belt, I lose the belt, I get the belt. And he's like, that's why we're not making any money. We
I
need to
agree.
like do
I
different
agree.
things.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, he's not wrong.
he's
He's
not wrong.
not wrong.
I agree. I agree. He's not wrong.
So how is this guy idiot? Everyone who doesn't want to use Ric Flair is an idiot and doesn't know what they're talking about. And Ric Flair is just the best of all time. It's fucking everyone agrees to it because they don't actually have to sit down and watch the shows. Why don't you just fucking sit on your fat asses like we are and watch these goddamn shows? And you'll see that Magnum was better, Ricky Morton was better, Tully Blanchard's better.
I would say this: so far from the past 3 Starrcades, Ric Flair has not had the best match on all 3 of them so far.
No.
None. Yeah, I wouldn't
No.
even say some of them the second best match. You know?
This one, he's not even 4th best match in my book.
Yeah, yeah. By the way,
But it's a good match. Not taking anything away from these guys. It's a good match. I enjoyed it, but there's never a moment where I'm like fully invested in the match and fully
yes, there's
invested
never
in
a
the
moment when I'm
moment.
fully invested. You're right.
Yeah.
By
Anyway,
the way,
but Dusty
there's
wins.
about
Good for
there's
him.
there's about 10 matches on this card, and 7 of the 10 matches have blood in it. 7 of the 10 matches either has a ref bump or a fucking stupid ref who doesn't fucking see a fucking put on the rope or something like that.
I'll say this.
What?
I'll say this too. Sorry,
Yeah.
before you go. There's people in wrestling that have AIDS that we don't know about.
Yeah. There's too much of this.
Too
Like,
much. And this is when the AIDS epidemic is running wild.
yes. Do you guys realize they started having blood in the second match of this card. The second match. So 7 out of the 10 had his blood everywhere, multiple people bleeding. And then 7 of the matches, there's ref bumps and there's a referee who misses a call. Like you guys need to stop doing this shit. This is stupid. It's
You
a
know,
constant thing that you see from the Starrcade. It's just terrible.
like if when I watched that Tully Blanchard Magnum TA match on the compilation tape I saw it on, it in my mind I'm like, well, this must be the only match with blood because it's so fucking bloody. And
Yeah,
then you see everyone bleeding, and it's like this is so stupid.
this
But
is so stupid. It's so
I did
stupid.
like the last interview, by the way, with Dusty.
By the way, I looked this up. They say they fucking stripped the title off of Dusty anyway.
Yeah, it was Dusty finish, and I was expecting them to announce that on the show, and they don't. So when you watch the show on the back, oh, that's fine. But that's his Dusty finishes where the good guy would win. They go, actually, you didn't win. That's kind of what also killed him.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. A lot of things killed them.
they did everything right tonight, and if they
Well,
kept
not
this,
everything.
well, not everything, but they did enough right. Like the fans went home very happy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Those
All
people
right.
went home being,
So
I can't wait for '86.
so okay, you're right. They did a lot more right than wrong. So I will give them that. Yeah, this is the best Starrcade we've seen so far. Is Abdul is Abdul the Butcher versus Carlos Colon still the worst match you've seen so far?
Yes.
Yes.
By the way, can you believe after watching this show that between Buddy Landell, Tully Blanchard, um, and fucking I don't know, fucking Nikita Koloff, like you look at all the people in this card, and one of the only ones that have their own induction is Abdullah the Butcher. Like Nikita Koloff's not in, but Abdullah is in. You know what I mean? Like fucking Tully Blanchard had to go in with 9 guys, but Abdullah got like that's why it's not a real Hall of Fame.
But you're now saying so far of all the shows we've seen, the best match you've seen is Tully versus Magnum.
Yes, and I do think it's the best match in the NWA. We'll see what happens when we get to the WCW when it
I'm
turns into.
still saying out of all the pay-per-views you watch, the best match is still Tully versus Steamboat.
Okay, but yeah, well, I like the intensity of Magnum.
Yeah. No, let's keep track of that. See if what's the best match you've seen
I
so
also
far.
think this is probably the best show we watched so far. WrestleMania 1 has a lot of entertainment, but this has a better work rate, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. WrestleMania 1 is more entertaining,
More fun to watch.
but this one is technically the better overall show.
Yeah,
right?
The work rate is way better than
You
this
know
show.
what? That's what I say about Batman. I think the Batman with Robert Pattinson is okay. I would say the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is the more entertaining, the most entertaining Batman movie of all time. But the best Batman movie is actually the Batman with Robert Pattinson. That's what I actually say.
Okay.
Two different things.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, guys, that's the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Ray Goots. Follow me on TikTok, Ray Goots Comedy. Next week, Andrew Lee, it's back to Vince. It's WrestleMania 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In 2 weeks, Starrcade 86. In 3 weeks, WrestleMania 3. And in 4 weeks, Starrcade 87.
Wow, we're doing WrestleMania 2. I can't wait. Excellent.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And until then, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, Magnum TA forever. We'll talk to you next time.
Jimmy
Bye,
Valiant
Drew.
forever.